Cathar Love, number 97, the pulsing heart of Catharism. This, like the previous video, I need to read. There is that horny, lustful love so necessary for the procreation of the species. Then there is true love. There is a consummated love. But there is also a pure, unrequited love, which helps describe what the Cathars sought to acquire as they travel their own individual path towards their eventual blissful reunion with the Source, which is the meshing and the melding of pure love. In human terms of comprehension, between an eternal mother and an immortal child. Imagine, if you will, a loving mother who wants her children to experience all there is to know about life, so that they can really understand the meaning of life and the point of their being created. Then, when they have danced with Sophia, when they have encompassed and experienced wisdom for what it really is, which is ultimately to fall desperately into a state of bliss, arising from a deeply acquired, pure, unrequited love of the Source. This then is what Catharism is essentially about. Most of us are born into a religion. For the Gnostic, especially a Cathar or a Sufi, religion is but the outer shell of a nut, which has to be cracked open to get at the sustaining and nourishing kernel inside. Why read a poem about the beloved when one can speak directly to the object of one's desire? Why continue to read a book when one can communicate directly with the author? This direct manner of communication to the divine is the defining connective ingredient of Gnostic philosophy. With Catharism, not only is there a direct communication with the divine, with your guides, possibly this might be your first actual mystical connection with the divine, but then as you travel further along the mystic way, you find there is a rare beauty of such indescribable radiance, so much so that it assaults your mind and tears at your heartstrings. This is such a degree of beauty that is beyond all human levels of imaginings. It can only be sought after through a mystical connection of pure, unrequited love. For the ultimate and eventual union for all is actually a reunion. For that one, once left to live as a naked, inexperienced child, and is now returning, fully clothed, in a raiment of wisdom of the ages, gathered in from having experienced every human condition possible over many, many lifetimes on this and other planetary systems. The unwise child of creation returns to the mother of all creation, to the infinite and all-loving heart of the entirety of all creation, to the reunion with the ultimate and eternal wellspring of unconditional and undifferentiated love, the Source. To this end, the path, the way, the key, the great idea is the acquisition of a mystical connection through pure, unrequited love of the Source, whose love for us, every divine spark of us, is total, complete and absolute. Over our lifetimes we will journey high and low, wide and far, experience many and much, all necessary to completely clothe each of us through life experience in the cloak of wisdom, in order to be reunited with the Source. During our journey of lifetimes, we will experience love in all its forms, from horny, lusty love to motherly love to quiet and tranquil and fulfilling love. But it is not until we commence our pure love affair with the Divine that we begin to comprehend the idea of a mystical loving union with the Absolute of absolute love, the Source. It is then that we begin to sense what existence and reality is ultimately all about. These experiences are ever, at any one time, for the few, not for the multitudinous herd. To grasp at this concept within your mind's eye is to glimpse at the essentials of Catharism. This mystical union, leading to the ultimate reunion with the Source, was the only reality of a medieval Cathar's perfecti's existence. All else was illusory, even though one needed to lovingly live out the illusion. Catharism, therefore, is off the earthly plane, being more into the magical and the mystical, and being in such a state is to experience the miraculous within our lives. To tread the Cathar path is to wade in miracles, to be awash amongst the magical. For the Cathar, the gift of life should be a celebration and welcomed, as should the gift of death be a thanksgiving and also warmly welcomed. A Cathar is a good person whose very life has become a transformative prayer of gratitude for existence. As such, it is garnished every day with laughter and gaiety, stemming from the love of the gift of life. To live life to the full, though, for the Cathar, it means bringing balance into one's life through making time and space for silence and quietude, reflection and meditation. For the Divine, the Source, is sought from within, not from without. The Source is found deep within the light of the soul, not in temple shadows, under church spires or mosque minarets. Catharism is about living an outer manifestation of an inner experience. During our quest to discover the most radiant beauty of the Source, the absolute totality of the pure unconditional love of the Source for everybody and everything everywhere. Within our innermost core, beyond even the soul, lies our divine spark, our unchanging individuality. This, which is the pulsing heart of Catharism. Unknown to most all, there is within each of us a love affair of such immensity and intensity that it is difficult to describe. A love affair that aches and tears at the very essence of our being. For it is a love that is beyond all descriptions of earthly love as we know it. For it is love in its most pure form, but how then to describe the indescribable? This then was the secret knowledge of Catharism, and the reason for their lack of fear in the face of any torment the Church could hurl at them. Fire and sword, laughter and ridicule, all this was overridden with the secret knowledge that beat within the breast of every educated perfecti. These flames of secret knowledge lit and fed the fire in the belly of the perfectis as they travelled the lands amongst the people and sowed and seeded the knowledge of love, tolerance and respect for all of creation. How to describe the indescribable? How to adequately describe the intensity and totality and madness of all-consuming love, human love, at its extreme? How much more difficult then to even imagine the colossal, all-consuming flames of mystical and spiritual love that burn so intensely within each divine spark. For the source, and in consequence the desperate longing for the ultimate reunion of our divine spark with the source. Gnosticism, Catharism, acknowledges that the source is beyond our knowing. How then to love, let alone fall in love, with an unknown entity? The Cathars literally meditated upon this very question, and in doing so became aware of the attributes that undeniably emanated from the source, such as unconditional love in its most pure form for each and all of us, healing in its purest form that seeks to heal not just our body, but more importantly our mind and our soul, as well as lend balm and solace to our lovesick divine spark, which yearns constantly for that time of reunion with the source. A reunion of absolute bliss, harmony and joy, of absolute happiness, for the besotted lover now reunited with the hitherto seemingly unattainable beloved. The very awareness of this love affair at the most central point of our being is in itself the start of our own very human and mindful comprehension of what is taking place at the very core of our individuality. This ongoing soft siege of love within the battleground of the heart, lying beyond the soul level of our existence, is the primary reason why we cannot obtain pure and absolute happiness and bliss of being until our eventual reunion with the source. The pondering upon these imponderables was the essence propelling the Cathar meditations into the mystical and magical unknown realms of the super subconscious. Catharism is not a refuge for the faint of heart. Rather, it is a fortress from where the bravest of spiritual souls can sally forth into the harsh world of physical reality, of pain, intolerance and power, as much as into the higher realms of love, tolerance, kindness and respect for all of creation within our entire cosmos. As a consequence, though Catharism welcomes all, only a comparative few are chosen to travel its precarious path, which can at times accentuate the soaring highs and deepen the depressing lows of human existence. However, Catharism does make it bearable, even blissful, for it has us eventually place a foot in both worlds, that of the physical and that of the mystical. Thankfully, the more we tread within the mystical, the more magical our humanity becomes, for we must experience periods of transcendation which raise us above the mundane into the majestic. If we are fortunate enough we will also descend deep into our inner selves to become aware of the love affair within each of us between our divine spark and our beloved and ultimately attainable source. Until then, it is our individual quest to seek it out, even though it is the great unknown. Apart from those solitary individuals who manage to pierce the mists of the mind and soul, to sense out this driving force at our innermost psyche, this passionate love that devours and consumes with desire a divine spark, for its incorrigible paramour, whose beauty arises from its unconditional love for each of its creation, along with its plan, its desire, for each of us to return as wise and loving beings, forged from our multitudinous reincarnations of pain and pleasure, from having experienced the highs and lows in living out our lives. Put simply, each divine spark is in love with the source, which grows in intensity the more we travel towards our higher consciousness. For it is only at that level of consciousness that we can begin to become aware of that love affair, pulsing with unrequited desire, so deep within the very essence of our being. Some wise words from Henri de Nebours. I'll not add to it and say goodbye for now.